Hi, and welcome back to Goodnight, Rita, a deep dive series all about Groundhog Day and other time loop stories in popular culture. Very few people have heard of the movie 1201, but it's a time loop movie that came out the very same year as Groundhog Day, 1993, and has a lot of remarkable similarities.
Please wait.
Well, what if there is no tomorrow? There wasn't one today.
Mom, I'll call you back. The day's repeating.
The first time I saw you, something happened to me.
And I've fallen in love with a beautiful young lady, and so far I could only see her for a few hours.
When this movie is discussed online, it's usually along the lines of wondering if Groundhog Day was plagiarized, which we'll talk about. But regardless, I think it's genuinely kind of a shame more people haven't seen it. So, I just want to tell you about it. 1201 is a 90-minute TV movie directed by Jack Sholder. It was written by Richard Lupoff, Jonathan Heap, and Philip Morton. Richard Lupoff is the author of the original short story published in a 1973 issue of the Magazine of Fantasy and Science Fiction, and Jonathan Heap had previously adapted it into an Oscar-nominated short film starring Kurtwood Smith. This feature-length adaptation stars Jonathan Silverman as Barry Thomas, a lovable underachiever working a dead-end job in the HR department of a large scientific research company. He's opposite Helen Slater as Lisa Fredericks, a scientist Barry has had a secret crush on for a very long time. It features a bunch of other familiar faces, including Jeremy Piven and Danny Trejo, who's on screen for about 12 seconds and says 2 lines.
This day's about to repeat.
Yeah, no kidding, Biff. They're all about the same around here.
Barry's day starts off like any other. He speaks to his mum on the phone, interacts with his neighbors, gets stuck in traffic, and arrives late.
The whole office rattled. You slow down the work and we all suffer, you know that.
Let's hug. Just once. It'll break the tension.
He witnesses Lisa getting assassinated by sketchy dudes in a van. After drowning his sorrows, he returns home, but before falling asleep, he gets electrocuted.
The time is 12:01.
And wakes up, you guessed it, back at the start of the same day. Barry starts to piece together what's happening. The time bounce, as they call it, is a result of the lab's particle accelerator misfiring, and Barry is the only person who's aware of it. We meet more and more of the lab team, and he also builds a rapport and romance with Lisa. In one loop, he attempts to warn the police about the attack, only to find himself locked up on suspicion of being involved. The following loop, he vows to save her.
Today I save her.
Which leads to a car chase, and ends with a romantic hideout in a log cabin. The plot thickens and danger escalates over the following couple of loops. I won't go into too much detail, but it leads to a final showdown in the accelerator itself. The loop is successfully broken, and our heroes share a kiss as they get arrested by the cops. All in all, I think this is actually a pretty great little movie. I've watched it a couple of times, and it was one of my early favorites in this research. It's got great characters, with most of the cast delivering pretty memorable performances. Jeremy Piven is an excellent agent of chaos as always, and the chemistry between the romantic leads, while maybe a bit rushed, feels believable to me. It also doesn't quite carry the same question marks as the romance between Phil and Rita. Lisa is far more willing every time to believe in the loop, because for her, it's rooted in science she understands. She approaches it like a scientist and is convinced by the evidence when it's properly presented to her. The way this movie approaches sex is also kind of fun, it's kind of notable. There's this scene where they're getting to know each other again, and Lisa realizes that they slept together in a previous loop. And she says,
"Are you saying that did you get lucky?" Oh my God, you got lucky.
You got lucky too. It wasn't just me.
This is so strange.
I know.
It's kind of awkward and cheesy. I don't know. This will land very differently with different people. But I enjoyed 1201's kind of sex-positive attitude. Barry doesn't play games, he doesn't trick Lisa, and Lisa doesn't get upset by this revelation. She trusts him, and she trusts herself, and it diffuses tension rather than adding to it. I also think this movie might have a better car chase than Groundhog Day. Look at this. I mean, it's tense, it's kinetic, we know where all the players are. I think for a movie at this scale, they should be really genuinely proud of that. There are negatives too, of course. For starters, the music is bad. The music it's just bad.
Into my office.
I'm pretty sure most of it is library music, but I have no idea where they would have sourced this from in the early 90s. In the credits, there's a music editor and a music mixer, but no original music or composer credit. There are 2 pieces of music with vague titles credited to William Peterkin and various other people, but I couldn't find anything about them or him anywhere. Unfortunately for some audiences, the repetitive and bland music in this movie is going to be a turn-off. And it's a reminder just how much is added to the production value by the right music, especially a bespoke score, which can be made to follow the action more closely, rather than, picking tracks off the shelf and having to work with the limitation of them already being, finalized. I think the shortcuts taken with exposition in 1201 are sometimes very clunky or feel rushed. The biggest example of this being the TV news segment that we see when Barry starts the loop.
Mary, big news at Utrell Corporation. Researchers here working on particle physics believe they've discovered a way to accelerate a subatomic particle.
I actually think it's okay that we know so early on what caused the loop. In a similar fashion to Groundhog Day, we don't want the audience distracted asking why the entire time, and it lets Lisa's murder and the conspiracy become the main focus. But it could definitely be achieved more gracefully than a news report just straight up saying what's happening in the first 5 minutes.
Time and space would be shattered. We'd be punched backwards in time, and then move forward until the accelerator is fired again, and we're punched back again in an endless loop.
There are also some pretty cheesy effects used between loops, some more subtle than others, and they're also not consistent. This transition is the most indulgent, that isn't like any of the other transitions, and it's unnecessary. Again, for me, this feels like a reminder that before Groundhog Day, we just didn't have this visual trope that everybody understands. Nowadays, it feels like common sense, especially if you're on a budget, that a simple hard cut would probably have done a better job.
The time is 7:30.
Both the interview exposition and the cheesy effects are hangovers from the preceding short film, 12:01 PM, and considering how much this movie already departs, turning it into this far more pleasing, heroic rom-com with a happy ending, elements like this might have felt to some people on the team like The Last Bastion, spiritual links to the source material. Or just, hey, it was the 90s and we can do this now, let's have some fun. So what do 1201 and Groundhog Day have most in common? And what sets them most apart? I've talked a lot about the visuals of Groundhog Day, and I think it's fascinating that 1201 managed to kind of nail exactly the process I've described, at least at first. It's a budget movie shot for economy about a man living the same day over. Why wouldn't you just set up the shot and run it several times in exactly the same way? But then, as the story demands entirely new sequences of events, that cinematic language is diluted far more quickly than it is in Groundhog Day. There are far fewer loops in 1201. By my count, in the film, we only see 6 days. However, there's definitely room for Barry to have looped longer than that, in order for him to learn the things that he learns. And because we know from pretty much the start what's causing them, the text isn't burdened with the same philosophical concerns as Groundhog Day. Barry seems to be a pretty nice guy, if a bit of a loser. He's not in need of redemption, and his loop isn't treated as a kind of purgatory or teaching moment. It's connected to a fixed point, similar to Phil's, but its cause is a machine, a physical thing that just needs to be turned off. And this is because, really, 1201 is a very different movie. Aside from surface level differences, Barry doesn't need to see the light or connect with the common man. It has a romantic subplot, but it isn't all about romance. 1201 is far more concerned with using the loop to uncover a murder mystery, and delivering some fun twists and a bit of action along the way. It's a whodunit, and through the accident of Barry getting caught in this time bounce, he becomes the only person who can solve it. I personally don't think Groundhog Day plagiarized 1201. Nothing I've seen supports that. While it is remarkable that they came out in the same year, the two are very different, and more importantly, have completely different origins. One is a philosophical romance that, with Ramis' guiding hand, became a Capra-esque modern morality tale. The other is a fun, budget murder mystery whose ancestry can be traced to the brilliant pulp science fiction scene of the 1970s. What I will say is, I think people should watch 1201. I started doing these videos to talk positively about stuff that I love, and I love 1201. I genuinely recommend it. I think it's really fun. You can find it in okay quality in various places online, but I think it's worth purchasing if you can. I got it for $7.99 on iTunes, and I can vouch I think the quality is pretty good. I'm a sucker for an underdog movie with a great cast, and I think that this one does loads of things really well. This isn't a review channel, and it's never going to be, but I really liked 1201, and I think you might too. The next 2 or 3 episodes are going to be just like this one, focusing on specific Groundhog Day descendants. We're going to be talking about Ijia Ieri, aka Stork Day, and of course, Palm Springs. So make sure you're subscribed.